thinking. I said, now, honey, don't you know all of that is on TV? And this ain't Dallas, this ain't Dynasty, this is making a living down in Tennessee. And I ain't...
Got this old slide from military truck. It's already got a couple of holes in it. Then we'll take and cut it across here and somewhere in here maybe, and do the same thing there and there to put together, bring them two back together and weld them here in the middle, and use them for the end of my dragon head, I guess you call it. That's what I'm calling it, praying mantis head, dragon head, for the end of that boom there. I've already got it, so it's good thick metal. Alright, I'm gonna try something different now than that cutting disc. I'm gonna try some old plasma. I hadn't tried it in a while. Hopefully it still works. We'll see if it cuts any better or worse. Bunch of freehanding, so we'll see. I'll weld that in there, but I'm probably gonna push it back further that way because I still like to taper this at an angle just a little bit on the end of the boom there. So I'm gonna push it, cut my hole further back after I cut my 45. I just want to show you what it looked like there. Make a good tie-off point, I think, underneath there, plenty stout. I'll weld it on the inside of both sides on the inside, and then underneath down both sides, so once I flip it over. But still working on it. I've got my eyelet welded on there pretty good. It's welded inside, welded underneath on both sides. Pretty good there. And I got head there kind of tacked on. I just tacked it on right here and on the back side for now. That's not going to be the finished product because it does kind of look bulky. So I'm going to do a little trimming on this and these top two pieces. Kind of trim it out nice. These two pieces will be gone here. So I'll work on that next. Better already. A little bit of grinding and cleaning up. She's gonna look good. We'll weld it out, clean it up. We'll slide them tubes right there on the ground in there. Should be good for cable. Getting closer. It looks like a different ball game now there, don't it? Looks pretty good and polished up. I still got a little bit more grinding to do to even everything out. A whole lot of more welding to do, but it's starting to look pretty good. What y'all think? Leave me a comment down below. Now we're gonna take and build our cover plate. Covers this in and boxes it in, but also has a wing to kick back under here. Kind of been an angle back, so reinforce. Got it drawn out here. What we're gonna cut out and what we're gonna bend to put in there. So let me get it cut out and I'll show you bending it. Cut out pretty good with the straight edge. Using this chunk of steel here as my straight edge. Now let's go over and bend these two lines right here. We'll bend it and bend them wings around. See how she fits. Upside down once again, but that's what I come up with. Get her upside down so I can weld it up. Good sized chunk of steel. Good to find stuff like that at the scrap yard when you nosing around out there. Little chunks like it are just good to find and pick up. You can get them pretty cheap that way. Never know what you're gonna make with them. We'll put them two pulleys to be on our lathe. Here in a bit, we're gonna spin them down on the lathe and cut the groove in them and turn them into pulleys. I reckon that'll make a couple of pulleys. About 1.25 inches thick steel plates. I think that'll make a couple of good swivel shield pulleys.
to the can. You pull that, you pull from the side, the front.
We basically got a pinhole every foot. Didn't need one every foot, but did it because I could. This is the last one, so normally the boom will never come out past where this pinhole meets with that pin. So And I don't know how much of that y'all could see, but that plate is welded in there now underneath the 5-inch channel iron that runs under the bed. And then there's a 3-inch channel iron that runs across on top of the 5-inch under the bed. That piece goes at 3/4 inch thick, 8-inch wide piece goes all the way across from frame rail to frame rail, and it sits between the truck frame and the bed framing. So I'm welding it to the bed framing. So I have to rip the whole bed off. So didn't know how much of that y'all could see from out there. Back to you. Back to you. Oh. Not too bad. Kind of dark out here. Working late into the night on it. It looked pretty good. I'm gonna let them tacks cool off till in the morning. We'll get back, set the boom back on it again. Double check everything one more time. I'm sure we overkilled this 3/4 plate upright, sitting on top of a 3/4 plate, all the way across from frame to frame, under the 5-inch channel iron that bed frame was. We put a piece of 6-inch channel iron right here all the way across and welded it in. I'm not 100% proud of every one of those welds, but I'm 100% confident that they'll hold. It's very tricky trying to get this gun and all this down into places when you can't turn the tip a certain way to get it welded in. So don't critique me too hard. Most of them look pretty decent. I'm sure it'll hold. Now I'm gonna wipe it down, put a little paint on it, and then we'll be ready to set the boom on. I'm gonna make a cover plate to cover this back up that's accessible, just in case I ever want to add anything else down there to that piece of iron. And yes, I did lay on my creeper because that right there was killing me some. A little more done. And I'm not sure if we're gonna leave it up that high or not. You know, sometimes you get to building and modifying and it looks good on paper, it looks good on other trucks, but I'm not sure we're gonna leave it that high on the front. Just looking at the daylight, it's not really, it's actually lower than most of your modern winch trucks are. Century beds and other ones, they're all up like 18 inches from the bed to the hinge pin. That one's only 10 inches right now, so I don't know. I think we're gonna cut some new holes and lower it. We'll have to do all that work up here on the bed because those uprights are welded in solid, as you've seen already. All right, so we're too high on the first option. So now we're gonna drop this line 1 inch lower. That was just our looking at mark. We're gonna drop it 1 inch lower and cut that completely off across there and save all that piece on top. And we're gonna drill a hole right here to fit the shaft, and that's my center line on both sides. And so that'll be where this stick now sits, that low all the time. We'll hook our hydraulic cylinder on somewhere about right here at the top of the stick and drop it down. These rails are going to come off for the old fifth wheel. We won't be using them on there anymore. And the train side's running. Train ain't been running all morning. Alright, got them two L's cut. Just like that. Now these two pieces, I'll take over here and weld them on the side of the boom like that, or side of the stick, excuse me, like that. And we'll weld our piece in here to fill in that gap. This is what a cylinder hooked to. It's almost thick as my finger. So, like I said, everything is custom made on here. Hey, why not? I think these old receiver hitches I've got plenty of. I think they'll make me some good eyelets to go in the end of my cylinder holder. And I got them welded up there. That's my rendition of what they look like. I didn't measure where I put them. I just kind of eyeballed them, left a little bit on the outside edge, and poured the weld to them. I trust they'll hold. I think that's about where I want it. By the time I take this fifth wheel bracket off and this end drops down about where the gooseneck ball is, or reckon close to it on the floor. Of course, the cylinder will need a turn to where it's saddled like that one is right there. It's just turned right now. Anyways, yeah, I think it's gonna work good for a lift. It's not quite half the boom probably, but the further back here it is, the higher of lift I'll get out of that cylinder. It's a 26-inch long from center to center on the pin, and it's got a 16-inch stroke on it, so it'll put it up to like 42-inch max from center of this pin to center of that pin when it's up in the air. We've kind of already looked at that without having the brackets made yet, but that's where I'm at. It's got one little bitty tack right there. Hold it on. I did it right there first, and then there, and now there. So, no need to measure when you're just trying to figure it out. Did it pretty straight across the top though, didn't I? I got her set up in the milling machine. I'll be using these Mars base hole saws. Them bad boys has got some sharp teeth on them. Found them on Amazon. Mars base. Come in a nice carry kit, 12-piece set, plus extra drill bits, centering bits. I'm running the 1-inch bit right there on this right now, so move y'all in here and you get to see it firsthand. 1-inch. If you can see that, it's 1-inch steel plate. So, Let's see what it'll do. That pink stuff you see is this lubricant, kind of like a beeswax mix and some other stuff, but it also came from Amazon. Let's see here. Wasn't going all the way through the first time. All the way through that time. Anyhow, I know it took a little bit of time there, but it's mostly me. I'm taking time, but those bits are awesome. I barely had any pressure at all on them running through there. 1-inch solid steel plate, and I guarantee you I could set anything I want up there and just keep on drilling more holes in it. We used the 1.75-inch one to drill the holes on the bed of the truck. I'm gonna drop that stick down and plates. Let me show you those holes right there. We drilled them. You see the pile of metal, I still got a vacuum up that it dug out of that hole right there. So sorry for the light. Anyhow, they're really good bits. Y'all check them out. I'm not affiliated with them, and they don't pay me or nothing like that, but hey, if they want to send me another set of them, I'd be grateful. There's only like $60 for that whole set of 12. Nice aluminum case, like I said. I think it's, let's see. Goes from 5/8 of an inch. There's the 5/8. All the way up to 2.25 inch. And this is the one we used the other night. You see it's still good and sharp. So I like them. Anyhow, check them out if you want a good metal hole cutting saw. I've tried a bunch of them, and it's hard to find good ones. So if you want a really good one, there you go. I tested them for you. Oh, just so y'all can see, there's that slug that it took out of there. And there's a plate all the way through. There we have it. Those are welded in now. 4-inch long, 3-inch tall, 1-inch thick. That's the bottom mounts for those cylinders right there. The saddles will sit right over top of them, pin go through them. They're welded in solid. One more step done. Well, we had a few days of rain. I pulled my axle shaft pin, pivot pin, whatever you want to call it, out of that hole back there. It goes all the way across. Because I got looking and thinking, you know how this stuff goes as you're engineering on the fly. What if I was to hook onto something one day and that pipe is only held to this base plate and the rest of the stick and boom, it's only held by a weld across the top of the plate to the pipe and to the bottom of the plate underneath there to the pipe, which y'all saw me do previously. Now it is welded all the way across on both of them, but what's to say I don't hook onto something one day and rip that plate, rip the pipe, rip the weld even loose from that pipe. The only thing that would be holding it then would be the two hydraulic cylinders, and that would go like that. The tip would hit the ground with whatever's on it, and this would be back here just up in there. So we come up with a solution. So here's what I was working with till my old plasmar cutting tip burned smooth out. Yeah, old dirty dog right there. That tip been in there a long time. That's why it was cutting all ugly right here and crooked and slanting off to the side like some home choy. Anyhow, yeah, it's cut ugly. But I took this one in there already and drilled my hole. And I started cutting these, which I should have done with this with a disc anyways, which I will do on this one. Right now I'm gonna go in there and drill this hole first. Then I'll come back with a side grinder and cut my two straight lines in it. They kind of look like a keyhole. Well, here we go with the old 2-inch Mars base bit. So we can dip her in a little bit of this old beeswax pink lubricant. A little bit more oil in there. Well, got a little flyweight. Now I got me a bunch of voodoo doll hair for my next art project, I reckon. Good Lord. Better need a scouring brush for your dishes. There you go. And that's how they make them old scouring brushes for your dishes right there. That's a good clean hole. I'll go cut them slots in there. You don't have to be able to weld left and right-handed, but it helps. People say, what you gonna do about your gooseneck? You ain't gonna be able to haul gooseneck no more. Cause that's gonna be covered up. And what about the fifth wheel rails that I took off. Still got to take that one off. Not gonna have that fifth wheel right there plate on there anymore. I said you're not gonna be able to haul that when you got that wrecker boom on there. You have to take it on and off and swap things around. I said no. I said no. We got that covered too. We're gonna take with our pattern and cut out of some more of that plate you saw me cutting the other day. We're gonna weld a piece of plate up here like so. It'll be welded to here, here, back here, along here, under here, under here. It's going to not only reinforce the two top of the hydraulic lift areas, but it's also going to allow me to drill a small hole in that plate. And then we're going to take a gooseneck ball that I had. I ground the threads off. We're going to keep the nut so we can have some good bulk there. We'll weld up all the way around this to the nut, and we'll have this much of this sticking through the plate that we cut for a shear effect. And we'll weld, like I said, ball to the nut to the plate. Plate's welded to this, and then I've got capabilities to shorten any goosenecks I haul, shorten the neck on them by a foot or so, and be able to haul them on top of the boom. The original gooseneck ball sits somewhere about right here, but below it, obviously, but about this far back. So I'm moving back to there. It's only gonna put it, I know you wanna keep your weight normally, like that gooseneck ball sits just almost over the center of the axle. And that's normally where you want to keep your weight, over the center or just a little bit before it. But it's going to put it somewhere about right here. Y'all can see that. Along right here. And true enough, that may not be great for most trucks. This truck has airbags, extra springs on the back. Don't think I'm going to see that much difference in hauling weight capacity, trying to lift up the front of my truck. My front end's pretty heavy. And being I've already towed vehicles back here and such, with this being this far back on the Stinger that I used to have up there and there, I noticed no difference on as far as picking up the front of the truck or driving straight. So I think we're going to be fine with the gooseneck hitch sitting up there. And as far as the fifth wheel goes, like that right there, fifth wheel plate, I have a fifth wheel to gooseneck ball adapter that I can put on any fifth wheel trailer, like a toy hauler or something that accepts a bolt-on trailer tongue under it, and just take the fifth wheel piece off and bolt on the gooseneck plate up there in its place, and just be able to haul everything on the gooseneck ball. That ball's rated for something like 25,000 pounds right there, so I think it'll be fine. But just to answer that little old question, that's our next thing I'm gonna do, is cut out this plate and we'll get it welded on, get the ball welded on, and then maybe we'll be ready to put it back on the truck. We'll see. Got the plate cut out. Only took a disc and a half to cut it with side grinder disc on 4.5 inch disc. Made it pretty good cuts out, and then there's two of the other remnants on the floor right there and there. Little triangles are cut off, but that's the plate there that's gonna go up on top. I'll go in there and drill a hole in it for the ball, and then I'm gonna clean up both sides, knock that little bit of surface rust off of it before I try to weld it on there, and we'll be on to the next step. Well, there it is. Still got a little bit more welding to do around the ball, but I got it welded all the rest of the way around. Well, I'm just about ready to put her back on the truck. Went ahead and put a twin winch on it instead of that old 12,000 I was gonna put on there. Dad said get his new one and put it on there, so I had mates. He was a generous donor for that, or I may trade him for that old 12,000. It's brand new, but new old stock. Anyhow, the guy went ahead and bolted them on there. A little easier out here. One cable is coming off the top, one from the bottom, because I had to turn that winch around to keep the rotation the same way. Wired up, ready to hook up to a battery. Gooseneck plates both painted and all welded up. Got the ends on there, swivel ends. Hooks are on, cables fed through, run through like that. So now we're gonna set it back on the truck here directly. I'll probably go back and paint that ball silver, just so I can see it in the mirror or back window easier. Made a nice little Christmas tree around the bottom of it. Shouldn't break here. Well, it's raining again. That's 15 inches of the 16.5-inch stroke on that cylinder. Just testing to make sure I've got it in the right place. Of course, I got it welded, the mounts for it, so it would take a bit to change, but I believe we got it in the right place, looking at it. And that's not extended out. It'll go 5 foot more out on the tip out that way, so that don't look too bad at all. Just coming along with the testing and fitting and trying to put it all together one piece at a time like Johnny Cash.
I got it one piece at a time, and it didn't cost me a dime. You'll know it's me when I come through your town.
We had to machine it down just a little, and on each end of it, it's like an inch and 3/8. But the big part of it that goes through the pipe and stuff, that's an inch and 7/16. So you can't now, it cannot come out either way without taking in. And I'm screwing them end cap, which you cap and screw.
Well, there's the tall jack leg built, and that one right there is the short one. Whenever I get the hydraulics figured out, when I get some lines, already got the 2 cylinders, but I gotta get some lines in the pump. But for now, I just put this stiff leg underneath, since I'll be using this one for transporting trailers and stuff. I made a taller one that'll set it about right for hauling vehicles behind there. I just welded a piece of 1-inch chunk of steel on there, 1 inch by 3/4 inch thick. Welded it to the stick so that this doesn't ever try to kick back this way anymore when I get down pressure on it. So I know it's way back here towards the back, but it's not as far back as my other Stinger was, and it hauled fine. So it's just something for temporary anyways, because I'm not near finished, and I believe I already got to go haul a couple trucks tomorrow with it. So that's as far as I got on it so far. I got to get some batteries back on there and get it wired up, both winches, and wired up to my alternator and all that. So coming along slowly but surely.
The run goes on forever and the party never